Hello friends, welcome to ixamBee. Today in this video we are going to talk about another topic from banking awareness, that is differentiated banks in India. Now what is differentiated bank? A bank which has been created for certain specific purpose in order to achieve certain specific goal. These banks have been set up by RBI over a period of time. There are old differentiated banks and new differentiated banks. Early differentiated banks included regional rural banks, local area banks, urban cooperative banks, and recently new differentiated banks have been introduced, in which two most important are Payments Bank and Small Finance Bank. In this video we are going to understand what was the role of all these banks. Apart from that, there are many other banks which are scheduled banks or unscheduled banks. This classification has been given by RBI. In scheduled banks, there are commercial banks and cooperative banks. Commercial banks include public sector banks, private sector banks, regional rural banks, which is a differentiated bank, then foreign banks, then local area bank is another differentiated bank. Then we have small finance bank, which is a differentiated bank, payment bank, which is a differentiated bank. Public sector, private sector, and foreign banks are different. Then in cooperative banks, we have urban cooperative banks and rural cooperative banks, and another type is unscheduled banks. In the upcoming slides, we will try to understand one by one all these differentiated banks. The first one is Regional Rural Bank. This bank was established under the provision of Regional Rural Bank Act 1976. What was the purpose? To provide sufficient banking and credit facility for agriculture and other rural sectors. So from rural you can understand that it was established specifically to meet the banking and credit requirements of rural sector and agriculture sector. This was set up on the recommendations of Narasimhan Committee. Next one is Local Area Banks. It was introduced in 1996. It was earlier set up as private local banks with the jurisdiction over 2 or 3 districts. Why was it established? To bridge the gaps in credit availability and strengthen the institutional credit framework in rural and semi-urban areas. So for local areas, these banks were established in order to meet the credit gaps, ताकि लोन आसानी से दिया जा सके उन सेक्टर्स को, उन इंस्टीट्यूशंस को जो रूरल या सेमी अर्बन एरियाज में सिचुएटेड हैं and it is very difficult for them to get loans. Thus, in order to bridge that gap, local area banks were created. Next one is urban cooperative banks. Next one is Payments Bank. This is a very famous bank and it has been a lot in news these days. How was it established? In September 2013, RBI constituted a committee which was headed by Dr. Nachiket More. The purpose of that committee was to study the comprehensive financial services for small businesses and low-income households. This objective of the committee was to propose measures for achieving financial inclusion and increased access to financial services to the unserved and underserved people. This committee submitted its report in January 2014, and one of the key suggestions was to introduce specialized banks, differentiated banks or payments banks to cater to the lower income groups and small businesses so that each Indian resident can have a bank account. And what are the key features of Payments Bank? They can accept demand deposit. However, they are right now restricted to holding a maximum balance of rupees 2 lakh per individual customer, and they cannot accept NRI deposits. They can issue ATM or debit cards, but they cannot issue credit cards. They don't provide lending activities. They don't provide credit facilities. Payment banks loan nahi de sakte. They only provide the deposit facilities to the customer. The next important point is, apart from the amounts which are maintained as cash reserve ratio with the RBI on its outside demand and time liabilities, the payment banks will also be required to invest minimum 75% of its demand deposit balances in SLR eligible government securities or treasury bills with maturity up to 1 year. So 75% of their deposits have to be maintained in the form of government securities. The minimum paid up equity capital for Payments Bank shall be rupees 100 crore, and capital adequacy ratio has been mentioned to a minimum of 15% of its risk-weighted assets. Now next one is Small Finance Banks. This was also established on the recommendation of Dr. Nachiket More Committee. In November 2014, a new differentiated bank known as Small Finance Banks along with Payment Bank was established. The objective was to further the financial inclusion. How? By provision of saving facilities primarily to the unserved and underserved sections of the population, and also supply of credit to small business units, small and marginal farmers, micro and small industries, and other unorganized sector entities through high technology and low cost operations. So, small finance banks can provide both lending and deposit facilities to the customers. Important highlights are: Small Finance Bank has to be registered as a public limited company. It is licensed under Section 22 of the Banking Regulation Act. They have to use Small Finance Bank in their name. They provide basic banking services, savings and lending to low income individuals, small businesses, small and marginal farmers and unorganized sector. Also, they provide non-risk activities like distribution of financial products like mutual funds, insurance, pension with the approval of RBI. RBI approval is not required after 3 years of operation, and the minimum paid up equity capital in order to establish a small finance bank is rupees 300 crore. This was recently increased from 200 crores to 300 crores. So these are few of the points related to small finance bank and payments bank. In the description, you will be able to find a document in which in detail all the points related to payment bank and small finance banks are mentioned. Also, you will find another document which mentions the important points: the number of differentiated banks of various types, number of local area banks, number of urban cooperative banks, number of small finance banks and payment banks in the document. So if you want to study in detail, you can download both the documents from the description below. At ixamBee, we have Ultimate Bee Banker online course, which is your one-stop solution for all banking exams. If you are interested, you can check out the demo from the description below. Also, on our ixamBee's YouTube channel, we are running a series Zero Se PO, in which daily live classes are being conducted, which can help you in your revision, in your practice, in your preparation for SBI PO exam. At ixamBee, we help you unfold your potential and achieve your dream job. If you have any queries, you can write them down in the comment below. You can also call us on this number mentioned on the screen. Subscribe to ixamBee's channel. Thank you.